Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A, formerly 5B, and I'm about to show you my garden. If you have been here before, you've probably seen most of this already, and I'll be honest with you, not a lot has changed. But we are less than a month to our first frost, so I'm guessing that things are going to start changing come October. So that means I'm going to start pulling some of this stuff out, but it's just all so green right now, I don't have the heart to do it. Which is why the garden doesn't seem to have changed all that much. Right now it's mostly just okra. The loofah are going crazy. Just wait until I show you the loofah. You were with me last week when I started my radishes, and those have come up. We'll see if we actually get any full roots there. Every once in a while I'll find some good tomatoes. I'll also find some good peppers. We even had enough peppers to make stuffed peppers last week, which totally surprised me because usually at this part of the season I'm only getting the really small sweet peppers, but I found several very big bell peppers that had been hiding from me, so we were excited about that. But otherwise, a lot of this other stuff, I'm waiting for some beans to dry. The basil has all gone to seed, which is fine. We've already pulled the potatoes, we've already pulled the onions. I'm trying to think about, oh, we've got some sweet potatoes that I really need to check on. I keep forgetting about the sweet potatoes because the loofah are just ridiculous right now, and they've completely buried and or have merged with the sweet potato vine. So it's hard to tell what is what, and so I forget about the sweet potatoes. I should probably try digging some of those out this coming week and seeing where all of those are, because I think it's about time for all of those to be pulled out. The chickpeas didn't make it this year or any years past. I've struggled with chickpeas. I didn't get any zucchini because of the squash bugs, were just horrible this year. We still got some eggplants going, but I've accidentally let it go too far, and so a lot of them are overripe, and we still need to pull the carrots. It's kind of the state of the garden right now, but I'll actually show you some of those things. I just wanted to let you know that this is probably going to look very similar to how it has looked in the past, just because we are in that season of slow but rapid cleanup. Makes sense? I don't know. I'm making things up now. So this is what I mean about the craziness of the loofah. You've got at least 4 hanging out right there, and then a 5th one up there, and then you got another one right there, and you're just seeing loofah all over the stinking place. It has pretty much taken over this walking path, so you have to be very, very careful about where you step. And then, oh my gosh, there's so many loofah on the ground. This is where my sweet potatoes are, and like I said, it is hard to tell the difference between the sweet potato leaves, which are these more heart-shaped ones, and the loofah leaves, which have a similar shape, but the depth of the V in the heart is a little bit deeper. So now you can see why I have a tendency to completely forget about the sweet potatoes until I am doing this video, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have sweet potatoes. I also have some volunteer tomato plants, which looks like they're finally starting to get tomatoes. Looks like some kind of bumblebee variety. I'm not sure which color it'll be. Probably the purple. That seems to be the most prolific. And then we have the hidden pepper plants, which looks like I've got a decent round of poblanos going there. This one over here, also another very tall pepper plant that is huge, is a jalapeno. And it does look like we have some jalapenos on there. I usually let them ripen, but it might be one of those things that I get a frost warning and I just go through and I harvest everything. But we've also got this tomato plant. This is either a speckled Roma or a striped Roma. Not exactly sure at this point, but maybe we'll find out. But the loofah plant, look, loofah in my wind chimes. And then, goodness, there's a whole bunch of loofah just right about there. So that's a note for next year, that loofah get a slow start, but then they explode. Because as you can see, they're all up in the basil. And I'm guessing I'm gonna have basil coming up in between my pine berries next year because of how that went to seed. But otherwise, over here, you've got the peach tree that we didn't get peaches from this year with some strawberry plants underneath. We've got this okra plant, and then we've got the blueberry back there, which fingers crossed we get blueberries next year. But if we go back this way, you can see the corn is still doing its thing, along with the giant okra over there as well. I've pretty much stopped watering the pots because I don't know, I'm in that season of it's fine. I don't need it anymore. We've got these pepper plants. These are the hot peppers, which are looking really good today. This past week we've had lower temperatures, and so I think a lot of the plants are really starting to bounce back, which is hilarious because in like 3 weeks they'll probably all be gone. I do have some jalapenos that can be harvested in there. And these are the sweet peppers, which don't look as good as the spicy peppers, mainly because I've got some dead marigolds in there. But, you know, feeding the soil, that's what I tell myself when I leave a mess. Here's what we planted last week. And as you can tell, it isn't a perfect sprouting, but I honestly didn't need a whole ton of daikon. I just want to make some daikon kimchi. So these guys I have been babying for the past week. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed they bulb up. So far, nothing has been, oh nope, I lied. Something topped that. That one might just be a new sprout. No, that got topped. And see, this is part of the problem I had this spring too, is I had the roly-polies eating my young shoots. Looks like I got that one too, and then that down there. And I really, really don't know how to save myself the trouble. I mean, I guess I could start the radishes in starter pots and plant them out, but for now we're gonna just see what makes it. That might be how I do things moving forward. This tomato plant is an absolute disaster. Have I mentioned that I've kind of just decided to let the garden go however it wanted to go? This walking path isn't even a path anymore. And then the same has happened here. The trellises have pretty much just broken, and that's the issue there. And I've got to clean this up unless I want to have tomatoes sprouting up in the mulch next year. So that's on my to-do list. Otherwise, we've got the jelly melons, which it looks like. Got a decent one there. There's probably a lot more hiding. That's the thing about these jelly melon plants, is a lot of the fruit is inside the plant. So you really have to go digging for it. And then once again, this path is gone because the tomatoes have taken over. They've also choked out all of my herbs on this side. The other side is starting to look very similar. See if I can get you over there. We've got some stevia starting to go to seed. But the bee balm and the thyme are non-existent at this point. I do want to have these tall parts of the beds as herb plants, but I might have to rethink what I do next to them so that they can survive. Oh, and look at that, a little saboteur. Yeah, that'd be a hornworm. I'm coming back for you later, sir. I already mentioned the okra. We've got the ground cherries. And I could show you the cowpeas. I mean, it's not super exciting at this point. I'm kind of letting the cowpeas dry a little bit on the plant. So we've got a lot of pink and then some of the newer ones. Every once in a while I'll pull some of these cowpeas off and feed them to the puppers. These strawberries over here have started another wave of strawberries that are surprisingly very tasty. And I've heard that they're usually not as good this late in the season, but these ones have just been so sweet and so delicious. I'm not gonna complain. I'll take the strawberries. Otherwise, we have got this mess right here, which is all tomato plants. I've been getting some romas. A lot more romas than I expected. The California tulip has started giving me handfuls, which I appreciate. But yeah, I did not do a good job trellising anything this year, and I'm gonna pay for it when I have to clean up. Otherwise, we have, these are the peppers, sweet peppers that I found giant bells on the other day. And I think they had been so hidden by the potatoes that they now finally got a chance to thrive, and they're shaded enough that they didn't really get beat by some of the temperatures we had. And I'm gonna have to reevaluate some of my dwarf tomatoes because a good handful of them really didn't even produce fruit for me. And there's not really a point of having them if they're not going to produce. But here we have the carrots. And as you can see, some of the carrots have gone to seed. They're just so lovely that I haven't pulled them, and it's so late in the season anyways. I've got so many other carrots in there that if the 2, 3 that have gone to seed just go to seed, that's fine. It is a lovely flower though. But I think I will pull a good chunk of these this weekend and make some carrot kimchi and maybe start pulling them to store them up, because I think it's time. But yeah, that right now is where the garden is at. So as I mentioned, not a lot has changed, but I think next week you're gonna start seeing some of that putting to bed. I know I really want to get a good chunk of those carrots pulled up and then starting on those sweet potatoes. It's one of those things that a lot of this I don't want to do until I know we're about to get our first frost, but I don't want to leave it all until the first frost, because then I'm scrambling to get 30 loofah down, as well as saving some of the daikons, finishing the carrots, and all of that. Some of this I might let the first frost actually kill and dry out so that it's easier to just clean. I have found that for a lot of the vining stuff, that if I let the frost kill it and then let it sit for a couple weeks or so, it's easier to pull down than to try and pull it down before the frost hits and it's still alive and it's fighting me. So that's sometimes what I do. Sometimes I'll even wait until spring to do some of the cleanup. I won't do that for tomatoes. I'll probably at least chop them down so that I can get the trellises out and stored, because I don't want to leave the trellises out to be weathered, because I don't think they'll last that long. And I want these to last for as long as possible before I have to think about replacing them. So this, I believe, is my last September tour. Next time I see you guys, at least in this video format, it will be October, which is interesting to think about. This season has just, it's been different. It's been very different. So if you want to see as I start cleaning this garden up, as maybe I add some new beds, I don't necessarily need new beds, but I have some ideas forming now that these beds are in place. Things might be happening once the season is over and I have that winter time to start planning next year. Feel free to subscribe down below, hit the bell, do all the things to get all of the notifications. I also have an Instagram and Threads account if you want to follow me over there. I usually do more timely updates over there of photos of what I'm doing with the harvest and what I'm actually harvesting. So you can follow me over there as well. Otherwise, I do hope I will see you again in another video, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.